You're listening to The RAZ.
You're listening to The RAZ. I'm Ryan.
I'm Adam.
All right, so it's been a while since we've done a segment.
God,
and a lot's changed for me. Adam, how are you doing, man? You doing good?
Yeah,
I haven't seen you in a long time.
I haven't seen you in a while, man. I know. I was concerned about you. You know, I know you had some stuff going on.
Yeah,
Both of us, really.
right. Yeah, I was committed. I'm just gonna jump right into it.
Oh,
I don't give a fuck. I had an episode, since we started the RAZ. I was doing good with not drinking, but I was still smoking pot. I was doing what they call the marijuana maintenance program, meaning I was still maintaining my addiction, filling it with drugs, if you want to call marijuana a drug or not, doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is I've always been completely dependent on marijuana. So when I start, I can't smoke it here or there. As soon as I start smoking marijuana, I'm right back to smoking it daily, almost immediately. So I ended up having to go to my mom is the one who originally called the cops on me. Basically, I had an episode as a result of what doctors are deeming as marijuana psychosis. And I mean, it's never happened to me before, but I switched over to just vaping it, but I was vaping marijuana.
Concentrates, right?
Yeah,
like
marijuana.
Super powerful
distillates.
THC.
Yeah, and I was kind of smoking the way I normally smoke it, and it was too much. And so I guess it was, a psychotic episode from weed. But so an episode broke out, between me and the family. I became super protective of my kids. They wouldn't let me have my kids because I was basically in full-blown mania. And I don't remember specifics. I really don't. It's kind of all blur. But, make a long story short, cops were called, and I ended up getting taken to the hospital. And then from there, they transferred me over to West Pines West Unit, and that's where I stayed for about 9 days. It was pretty bad. I didn't want to take any of the medication. I was freaking out. And I don't really want to get into specifics because it doesn't matter, but it was good because it got me off of the weed, really. And I used that as an excuse. I was looking for an excuse because I did want to get off the pot and take a shit. No, I'm just kidding. But that's basically what happened, and now I'm completely sober, and I'm so stoked about that, especially with doing this, because now I can think a lot more clearly as far as short-term memory goes. All right, Adam, take it away.
No, that's awesome. And actually, congrats to both of us, because I know both of us right now are sober as judges. I mean, no booze, no weed, no nothing.
Nothing.
So this is actually an experience in itself to do this with you. And I just want to say that I'm stoked.
Yeah, I was like, man, I would take this a little bit more serious if I could just get off the weed, because as far as short-term memory goes, I'm unable to clearly express my thoughts the way I want to within doing this. So here's to a new beginning.
New chapter.
Yeah, cheers.
2019.
Yeah, so.
Well, good for you, man. Like I said, I was definitely concerned about you. I was worried about you. So yeah,
I was sending you quite a few texts that were probably making you go, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, there were some exchanges that had me kind of going, oh, what's going on? But
he's crazy.
No, I'm glad you're back. So cheers to both of us. So 2018 for me, good and bad. Not going to lie, I had some hiccups, several hiccups with my sobriety this year. You know, I wish I had better things to say about 2018, and it wasn't all bad. There were some good moments, but to be honest with you, this is probably the most traumatic year of trying to stay sober for me. And, you know, just with the relapses that I had gone through, it was definitely the most challenging. Because what happened this year, it seemed to be kind of that cycle that was repeating itself in 2015, 2016, and 2017, but just more like closer together. So no longer was I sober for 2, 3, 4 months and then relapse. I was sober for 2, 3 weeks, and then I would just go back to it, which sucks.
Yeah.
There was a lot of life triggers that I was dealing with, and it was just a challenge, man. It was hard. I had a lot of stress in my life. This year, I kind of went through a depressive episode in the summer. There was some family stuff going on and just, you know, different things with my personal life that were going on that were really stressful to me. And it kind of seemed like my mentality changed from, you know, drinking for certain reasons, drinking for, you know, due to depression or anxiety or other life triggers to the point where I was drinking because I just felt so guilty and ashamed that I was drinking.
Yeah.
The vicious cycle, they say. So, you know, I almost got to a point where I was drinking to alleviate the guilt from all the previous binges, previous relapses, just to forget that shit, because it just became so emotionally traumatizing that I was like, well, fuck, like, I just can't deal with this anymore.
Yeah.
So, but I am happy to say I am sober now. I'm closing out 2018 sober, beginning 2019 sober. And I've made some changes in my personal life and just with my thinking, and had to shake up my recovery plan a little bit. And I think I got it on lock now. So it's just a one day at a time thing. And, you know, so long as my head hits the pillow sober, that's all anybody can ask. So.
Well, that's good, man.
2018.
What a year. Good and bad, you know.
Good and bad, really. You know, I don't want to make it sound like it was a complete shit show.
Yeah, even in struggling, you know, we have our good times and bad. I mean, it's when we're struggling, we are suffering, but it's not always bad the whole time, you know. We have moments of clarity, so to speak. As long as, you know, you're trying to stay sober, I think is really the key. So when you fall off the wagon, just get right back on that bitch. Don't be scared, you know. Don't beat yourself up over the relapses, because I truly think, and anybody who's been in recovery for a while knows that relapse is a part of recovery.
Yeah, I think some of the most encouraging words that I heard going back into meetings was no judgment. It was just love. You know, I got welcomed back with open arms, and people were telling me, you know what? You're here now, and that's what matters. Like,
yeah,
a lot of people wouldn't even show their face after, you know, and I have, good Lord, you know, I've hung my head so many times from relapses and going to the hospital that, you know, it was encouraging just to hear that from other people. Like, hey, man, you know what? Like, that takes fucking guts. Like, you're here now, and that's what matters. You know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of something that kind of shifted in 2018, like, especially now toward the end of the year. I started looking at things differently. So I stopped thinking so much about the reasons why I was drinking. My thinking got to a point where it was like, you know, it makes no difference how I got here. I'm here.
Right.
So how am I going to go forward from here? It makes no fucking difference what the trigger was, what happened, who, you know, all this blame game shit. I'm drinking because of this or that or him or her or whatever. Fuck that. It's just, I'm here. I fucked up. I own it. How am I going to go forward?
Right.
So
the past is the past,
Yep.
and the future hasn't happened, so it's what you do right now that counts. So you're absolutely right about that, Adam. And it's good that you seem to be doing well
Yeah.
after everything.
Yeah.
2018, here comes 2019, and we got New Year's around the corner, which brings me to the topic for tonight, which is about sobriety during the holidays. Is there anything you'd like to say to expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard time of the year for a lot of people. Even for me, I struggle with like seasonal depression. There's less light. You can't go outside as much. The weather's shitty.
Right.
And then not only that, it's just the struggles of sobriety this time of year. If you're a professional, there's office parties, Christmas parties. There's
all these
the
opportunities
whole
to drink.
alcohol industry. There's the marketing, the commercials, even like in sitcoms, all the kind of witty humor and banter that goes back and forth. People joke and make light of getting fucked up.
Right.
Let's have another bottle of wine. It's that mentality. Like,
yeah, and New Year's is no exception. I mean, that's...
You're almost expected to.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, that's the one time of year where it's a must in a way. And for us, it's no way because, well, for me, to drink means to die. So, and I'm not trying to go down that avenue by any means. But, and it's good you brought up the winter blues because a seasonal depression is a very real thing, and it's a struggle. And so you put that mixed in with the glorified drinking during this time of year, it's a setup for disaster. And so with that being said, we actually have 7 tips for staying sober during the holidays. And I'd like to expand on these as we go along, but I'm going to go ahead and get right into this as well. So number 1, have a plan or plans for the holiday gatherings. If you feel you're in a sticky situation, whether that be with family or friends, have a way to get out of the situation and leave. Sometimes social situations can trigger some of us. Have a closed-mouth friend on call to pick you up if things get too hectic. I'm not sure if you know what or if anybody out there knows what a closed-mouth friend is, but for me, it's somebody who's also living in active recovery, who's trying to stay sober, who not only is maybe a friend, but somebody who also remains your situation anonymous. So
could maybe also be a sponsor,
Yeah, sponsor.
someone else who, maybe you met through groups or something like that, the
And
gym.
it could just be somebody who isn't an addict, who you trust, that understands your situation, that is willing to go out of their way to help you any way they can. So, have them on call, and if things get weird or you're starting to feel uncomfortable or you're starting to get what I call the itching.
We all know that itching.
Yeah. Don't scratch that itch. Whatever you do, call somebody and have them get you out of the situation immediately. And if you have to, come up with an excuse. I mean, in certain situations when it comes down to this, meaning to use or to die, I think it's okay to lie at that point and, come up with some type of excuse that will enable you to be able to get out of the situation.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, and I want to also add that, yeah, of course, the responsibility ultimately is up to the person who is in recovery. But I think some people really need to be, I think, more mindful out there. Like people that are hosting parties and stuff like that are coming up to you, hey, do you want to drink? Do you want to drink? And, if that person politely says no, that needs to be respected. and left alone and not pursued. Because I've had those situations at parties or whatever, people that don't know I'm in recovery or whatever, people that I just met that offer me a drink, and I'm like, no thanks, I'll pass, and then they continue to press the issue.
Right.
I think people like that are such dicks.
They're instigators. And,
I have to own some of my prior actions too, because I know I've been a huge instigator in my drinking career.
I concur.
So I own that, and I recognize that now because I'm on the opposite side of the table. But I think people that are out there, whether it happens to be coworkers or friends or family or even, people that are hosting parties, be mindful. Not everyone's a drinker. Not everyone's, going to want to indulge. And if they simply say no, just don't be an asshole. Just leave it at that.
No means no. Fucking instigator.
When I get confronted with it now, I'm kind of almost standoffish about it. Like, at the end of the day, your reasons don't have to be explained to any fucking buddy, Fuck
no.
If you don't want to drink, no, and that's it, So,
right.
And if the shit gets uncomfortable, I'll make it uncomfortable, but that's just me. So.
All right, so moving along, we're going to go right into number 2. And this kind of goes with what we were just talking about, but avoid negative people or people who get on your ass about rehab. We all know and have, one friend or relative who likes to press the issue or throw in their 2 cents about your addiction. Always remember it's your life, and respectfully remind them that this is Christmas or New Year's, and addiction should not be a topic of discussion around the holidays.
I concur with that. Or if there is talk, I think it needs to be positive and supportive talk. It doesn't need to be, you need to do this, you need to do that, and kind of like,
right,
pointing the finger type of a thing.
But if you got a nagging bitch, then see step 1, which is have a plan, get out of that situation.
Right. No, I agree with that. I mean, and even to expand on that, I know for me in 2019, I definitely plan to have more discretion with what information I'm sharing and with who, because up until this point I've been fairly open, about stuff. Right.
It's good to be open with people
and people that are still close to me, like obviously, like my fight team, my running family, close personal friends. I'm always going to be open, and they're always going to know what's happening. But one thing that I found difficult, particularly this year in 2018, was people trying to therapize me and people trying to psychoanalyze me. And there's nothing that pisses me off more than people trying to put me in a box and say, this is your problem, you're doing this wrong, or you're doing that wrong, or whatever.
Like, what do they know?
Please leave it to the professionals. Like, that just instantaneously pisses me off.
Right, you're absolutely right.
So I guess...
Especially from people that don't have any experience with this.
Healthy boundary setting, I guess, ultimately is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, I mean, that's a goal for me in 2019, is just to have some healthy boundaries and just...
That's a very good point.
Be a little more discerning with what information I'm sharing, and again, with who.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's a very big difference between letting someone know you're there and that you support their recovery, and then just trying to play psychologist and trying to, well, you're doing this and that, like.
And I admit I've been that in the past until I realized that I can't even, I struggle myself, so how can I give advice if I'm not taking my own advice? So, and it's easier to look outward than inward. So if you do have somebody nagging on you, try to just take it with a grain of salt and not let it eat at you. Because I know people who don't have experience, or ex-addicts, I should say, who are trying to help others. Just people who've never had to deal with addiction have a tendency to, throw in their 2 cents. So just be mindful if you're getting that from somebody who doesn't have any experience. If they are giving good advice, take what you can use and throw away the rest. That's what I say.
Yeah. Cut out the negativity, you know?
Yeah, and if you're nagging out there on people, fuck you. No, I'm just kidding.
No, actually, that's a good point, and I think that really needs to be thought about, because I think, you know, a lot of people are negative, and a lot of people are, you know, point the finger, and that kind of shit, that kind of thinking is just really destructive, I found.
Yeah,
you know?
It really is. It's okay to remain anonymous, you know, tell people what you feel comfortable telling, obviously, but honestly try to remain anonymous as much as possible, unless it's somebody you can really trust.
Agreed.
All right, so getting into number 3, we just got done with number 2, obviously. Get connected into some new sober activities. Hang out with a sober friend or a group of sober people. You know, there's also things out there like Phoenix Multisport, which is a sober, active sober recovery group. And, you know, if you have a gym membership, go work out. And if you don't, some of these places that you see daily will give you like a week to go work out if you're new at that and you want to try that. It could be discouraging to go walk in there with a bunch of people and work out. However, what I always found useful is to just put on some music, play your favorite song, and, you know, just ignore everybody. And, you know, if that works for you, try it. What else do you got?
Well, just personalize your recovery. And there's really no substitute for physical activity and fitness, whether that's, and it doesn't have to be like extreme sports. You don't have to be like a gym rat, you know, workout guru. It could be as simple as going on a 20-minute walk a day.
Yeah.
Or starting to run, or starting to just, you know, lift weights at your own pace.
Yeah, it actually helps with dopamine levels, serotonin levels. When you're working out, you know, they have that thing called runner's high. So I encourage anybody who's in early recovery to go work out, because it's very, very beneficial to recovery.
Yeah, I agree with that. So much of my struggles when I was going through some of the darkest times, you know, my thinking always circled back around to being an athlete. You know, I don't take that for granted, and I understood that if I continued down that destructive path with alcohol, all that shit would go away. All the things I love to do, climb mountains, train in the gym, you know, fighting, all that shit would stop, because the two lifestyles clearly don't mix.
Yeah, Adam conquers mountains. He really does. And if that's your thing, do it. You know, do something. Try to get some sort of exercise, though, even if it's just going on walks, like Adam said, for 20 minutes. Throw on some headphones, you know, play the Eye of the Tiger. Cause the
Rocky theme.
Yeah, that's, I mean, seriously, though, whatever gets you pumped up, think of music that gets you pumped up, listen to that, and try to get active.
I guess I would also, just real quickly to expand on this, physical activity is absolutely awesome. It's a big part of health, but I would also say, I would even expand on this and say mental health, because one thing I realized about myself this year is I never really had a problem occupying my time with physical activity. That never really was a problem for me, because I was always able to go out and do things. At the end of the day, some of my problem was not making time for my psychological health. So things like meditation, mindfulness, you know, however you connect with like the inner you, you know, whether that could be journaling, it could be creative, like, you know, with music, you know. So I would say, yeah, of course, fitness is a huge part of it, but also make time for your emotional well-being, your psychological well-being. You know, I really got into wellness meetings this year also over at JCMH. They're awesome. They have like creative writing. You know, we would make little collages out of magazines. Like, what did your life look like in your addiction? You know, and occupy half of the paper with that. What does your life look like now in recovery? So it's cool to like find creative stuff to do too. Like I said, journaling or even being more social in meetings, things like that. But make time for your psychological health.
Absolutely.
As well, too, because that's a huge part of it.
Yeah, this last time I went or cycled through when I went to West Pines, they had us do that collage type stuff.
Yeah.
But this time I actually took it serious. In the past that I've done it, never taken it serious ever, and didn't even see the point in doing it. But, you know, they have that saying, fake it till you make it. Sometimes you just got to fake it till you make it. If you are doing stuff like that and you are kind of disinterested, just give it a try. Try to make it your own, and do take it serious. I encourage that, because you'll benefit more from that in the long run. I mean, if you make a collage, take it home and hang it up on your wall.
Yeah, I hung that shit on the fridge.
Yeah,
and it was
so
just
did
like
I
a good
this time.
visual reminder. Like I had, you know, I looked for pictures of like hospitals and doctors and all this negative shit that I associated with drinking on one side, and it just looking at it gave me anxiety. But it made me feel awesome when I looked at the other half, and there's cutouts of mountains and boxing gloves, and weights, and you know, shit like that. That it was just like, wow, like.
Yeah, good reminder.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, same here, man. That's like I said, I took it serious this time, and I actually tried. You know, I was kind of in a manic state, so I don't really specifically remember. So I think it's like coded, like Da Vinci's Code.
Oh, God.
But okay, so moving on to the next one, which isn't too far off from what we just talked about, but try doing something new. You know, we were given examples, stuff like yoga, or go to a spa, or even going to meetings, tend to your hobbies, or start a new hobby. The idea here is to distract yourself at all costs.
Mm-hmm. So with the idea of trying something new, I actually tried something new this year. I tried pharmaceutical intervention. I went on a medication that's supposed to help with abstinence. It's a medication by the name of Campril. And I was on it for about 8 weeks. It did help, no doubt about that. It definitely helped with like the post-acute stuff, like the depression, you know, the anxiety, the brain fog, all that shit. But I just started to experience some pretty bad side effects. Like I walk around at about 193, 194, like, you know, low to mid 90s, and then I just noticed my weight shot up to like 207, and I was like, oh my God, what am I like? I was exercising the same. I hadn't changed anything about my diet, but I had gained all this weight, and there were some sexual side effects that I didn't like, so I stopped it, you know, just because I don't like to take pills, but I understood that it was probably necessary to give me a jump start.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
I got that, but I couldn't handle the side effects. You know what I mean?
I'm on the same, not medication, but kind of the same venture there. Like, I am on meds. I have dealt with side effects, so I've had to try out different kinds. Now I'm on a real low dosage of something I can't even pronounce, but it starts with a Z. In fact, I can't pronounce any of the medications I'm on. But in early recovery, it's not a bad way to go. I mean, I've heard people at meetings kind of decred that because they had to, you know, get sober the old-fashioned way. But there's absolutely no shame in pharmacological help, and in fact, I think it's necessary in the beginning, you know. So they've given me like about a 6-month period of having to be on medication to get this
stabilized.
This marijuana psychosis stabilized. Marijuana, seriously, yeah. When you start dabbling into the harder, more potent marijuana products out there, you know, you really don't know what you're getting. I'm not going to sit here and bash it, but use it with care if you if you are smoking pot. My recommendation: just stick with good old fashioned pot. You know, don't mess with some of these new age products that they're coming out with that, you know, for me, led me to a psychotic episode, so to speak.
You were smoking like every day, weren't you? Like pretty much.
Yeah,
like, every day, all day.
I quit smoking and I switched to vaping, and I was vaping the distillates, like I was saying, and that stuff is a much higher. It's basically like pure THC, and I vape a lot, I smoke a lot, and I was basically doing it to get off the smoke. I wanted to get smoke out of my system to see if I would feel better, and so I quit smoking cigarettes, quit smoking pot, and I switched over to the vaping products, and I wasn't careful because I'm an everyday smoker, so it wasn't like I was getting blacked out high on pot, but I was probably taking in huge amounts of THC to a point where it just had this effect on me, and that was the result of vaping the distillates. So
I tried to get into pot when it got legalized in 2014 after years of not doing it, and I just can't connect with that with that drug.
That's
for
just
some
not
I try to make it like it's an alcohol buzz, and it's just totally not. And I've tried different strains. I've tried,
makes you antisocial.
CBD gives me a headache, so I just don't. I don't fuck with it really.
Right.
I just don't like the way it makes me feel.
Yeah, I'm on a new product now for sleep. It's just melatonin and CBD, and I really stand by it. It actually absolutely helps me go to sleep. But maybe it's just I haven't tried liquid melatonin, and I know you do, so I'm going to actually. I've been taking the pills. I'm going to switch it over to the, because this stuff's like $26 a bottle. It's it's expensive, but a good product to try if you're having problems with sleep and you don't want to take some of the pharmaceuticals that they give out for sleep, such as trazodone. Ramiron is one of the ones that they were giving me that was helping with me, but like you, I put on like 5 pounds, man, and even my ex told me that I have my daughter with told me that I looked like I had gained weight in the face, and I was like, no, I'm not trying to go that route. Like, that's gonna add to my depression. Holy fuck!
Well, it was bizarre for me because like I said, I hadn't changed anything with my diet. I was still working out, and then all of a sudden I step on a scale. It's like 207. Yeah. I think the heaviest I got was like 210, and then I was like, "Yeah, fuck this."
Fuck this.
Like this is not.
No, that's not what.
This has to be fucking with my adrenals, or it has to be fucking with like my blood sugar in a bad way or something. Because it did do what it was supposed to do, but unfortunately, that's the thing about pharmaceuticals is they just always tend to come with side effects that you have to deal with. But I don't want to completely discredit them because if that's what it comes down to, then that's what needs to happen.
Right.
There's different pharmaceuticals. I think we've already discussed them in previous segments. Anabuse, disulfiram, the same thing.
Right.
Camprol, is it naltrexone or naltrexone or something? It's primarily for opioids, as I understand it, but it still can help with cravings.
Sure, yeah.
There's another one, baclofen, I think, that is supposed to stop the euphoria if you drink. So I think that's on the market too. So I would just urge people to talk to medical people.
You're mentioning ones that I've never even heard of. Like, you're certified pharmacist over here. Okay, so quickly, I'm going to do, I forget which number we're on. 4 or 5, I believe is what we're on, or 5 and 6. But either way, these ones are tied into number 5, or 4.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Look at that, I'm all confused. That's kind of like when I'm smoking pot. I can't keep my thoughts organized. But so going from trying to do something new like yoga, spa, meetings, tending to hobbies, etc. If that's too much for you and is too hard this time of year, maybe you can try, just getting out of yourself and doing some volunteer work, like at the Salvation Army, working with disabled vets. Even Goodwill offers volunteer work, or you can get involved with your community. Again, going back to one of the other ones, the idea here is to distract yourself at all costs. Distraction is key, because when you get into self, that's when you start thinking about the past, And again, the past has already happened. It doesn't matter. And the future hasn't happened, so it's about right now. And then, let's see, going into the next one here, pay attention to what drinks people give you. You know, this one speaks for itself. Being at family gatherings or in maybe even new social situations, if you're not able to hang out in a sober group or you're not actively engaged in a recovery group, you know, you might get a drink from somebody that has alcohol in it. And so just be mindful.
Pour your own drinks.
Yeah, pour your own drinks.
Keep an eye on it. You know, if you're at a party, you may just make it a point to walk in with just your own beverage, like water or a flavored seltzer or something non-alcoholic, to where people won't even ask you because they'll be, oh, well, he's already got something, you know. But I would just say, you don't have to sit there and justify it to people. And people that press the issue are dicks, and, you know. They are out there. If they're not going to support you in your recovery and your positive life change, then fuck them.
All right, so this is the last one, which is number 7. Get off your ass and do something. Again, avoid at all costs sitting at home, having a pity party by yourself, or feel sorry for yourself in general. You know, that shit is depressing. We all have problems, and the holidays can be tough on anyone, even non-addicts. So stay busy. Some of us become triggered because the holidays can bring on unwanted emotions. Am I right?
Save all that negative shit for therapy sessions too, you know?
Well, how would, could you expand on maybe, because I would say, wouldn't you say for the holidays it's pretty tough for you?
Yeah, I mean, the anniversary of my mom's death is coming up in March. So I tend to, I already struggle with just this, like Thanksgiving, I can start to feel it, like that depression kind of kicking in. There's less light. And then it gets the holidays, I just never really, I don't care about really.
Yeah, see, I have a dysfunctional family, so.
Same here. I mean, call me a Scrooge if you want, but I don't really give a shit. I don't.
Yeah,
it's just another day to me. So
I don't even get people gifts except for my children.
You know, it's, if you celebrate, awesome, but to me, it's just another day. So
right.
I don't. And then, of course, the turn of the year, you know, you start getting into January, and then my birthday is the end of February, but I don't even really, I have issues with that now because she died like a week later, you know, so it's like I don't even really, so, you know, I'm positive about it, but I don't really, it's more like, you know.
Right, yeah, I've always been
I just focus on staying healthy at the end of the day and, you know, things that work for me, so.
All right, so that wraps it up for today's segment. You know, one thing I wanted to let people know, if you're finding this on YouTube, we do have a Facebook. Check it out, and if you have any questions or need to reach out to somebody, contact us. You know, we will respond, and, you know, maybe we'll have you come on the show and you can share your experience, strength, and hope with us. Is there anything else that you can think of?
Oh, you know what? Actually, on social media, I put out I make it a point to do this post annually, like around Christmas time, and continue it through the New Year's, which is if anyone's out there that, you know, has too many drinks or whatever, doesn't want to drive home, and maybe doesn't have money for an Uber or something, you can call me. It's something that, first of all, keeps me accountable to my own sobriety, and then I'm just kind of helping, you know. So if you're out there, you're too fucked up to drive or whatever, you don't want to get in trouble, don't risk it. Don't risk a DUI or worse, getting into an accident or something because you made a bad decision. You can call me. I'd be happy to pick you up. So Denver area friends that are on social media, I already posted this, but you can hit me up. I'll come get you. No questions asked, no money, no judgment. 720-724-5570. Hit me up, and I'd be happy to give you a lift. So
Adam's the saint. Yeah, if I would be doing the same thing if I drove, but I got a DUI. So
what's the Samson number? Do you remember? 1-800 SAMHSA.
SAMHSA, yeah.
1-800. It's what's SAHMSA. MSA, I think.
Yeah, you can look them up.
They have a website. If you're having issues, they can hook you up with food services, living arrangements, crisis situations, whatever. So.
Also, another really good one is thefix.com. They have a lot of good stuff on there, so check them out or contact us, and don't drive drunk for the holidays. So, closing that out, I'm Ryan.
I'm Adam.
And you're listening to The RAZ.
Happy holidays!
Bye!